Hey everyone, this is Pig for Life, and today I'm doing a video review for Planet X Caelus. This is Planet X's second entry into the third-party market, and following their Planet X Genesis, which was their Fall of Cybertron Omega Supreme. So this is their Fall of Cybertron Swoop, from which is modeled after the Fall of Cybertron video game, obviously. So let's get started with packaging as usual. So this looks very similar if you guys have seen the Fall of Cybertron, the Planet X Genesis box. It looks very similar styling, where it shows the chest area. And it's really high quality, nice glossy packaging. I think they did a really good job. I like the look of it. The logo is pretty nice as well. But it's pretty simple overall. On the side, there's just some warnings. This side, nothing. Top, nothing. Back, it just has a nice line artwork of the robot mode, and him kind of doing almost like the Iron Man pose. Alright. The bottom, nothing. So very simple packaging, but I really like that. I don't really need a lot of product images. It's a nice clean box, high quality. The cardboard is a little thin, but it doesn't feel flimsy. So just to get them unboxed, open them up, get them out. So the inner packaging comes in another cardboard box, comes with instructions as well as the stat card. So we'll take a quick look at those. Stat card is just thin cardboard showing that image again, and some stats: strength, intelligence, speed, endurance, rank, courage, fire blast, and skill. And for some reason skill is the only one that is lowercase, while everything else is uppercase. No idea why, just kind of random. Alright. The instructions are pretty basic. If you looked at the Genesis one, if you have Genesis, their instructions are pretty basic as well. But this guy's pretty easy to transform, and you guys have my video, so you really don't need those instructions. Pulling this guy out of there, and you can see this is actually a view of the back of Caelus, which is really cool as well. It's nice. It's a nice touch. So the clamshell, you see Caelus, his kind of missiles, and then you see that he actually has two swords for dual wielding use. They're molded in the corners to secure the top on, so it just doesn't flop around. Getting this guy out. This guy's always been a bit difficult to pose, and we'll get into that in a little bit. And then we get his missiles, so we'll show that. So again, he has two missiles and two swords. And we'll take a look at them in a little bit. So going on to robot mode review. This guy looks really cool. He is very similar in terms of nice sturdy build quality as Genesis. The plastic quality is really nice. He does look very similar to the Fall of Cybertron version of Swoop. There are some differences, but overall he looks like a really good rendition of that. From all sides, front, side, you can see his wingspan is fairly impressive for a pretty small figure. Back, side, Alright. Back to the front. So overall, the design is really nice. Again, a lot of nice molded detail that we saw in Genesis as well. I think Planet X is a really good company. Their design is pretty nice. I think they don't skimp on quality for the most part. Yeah, like the plastic is really nice. But looking at the figure, if you look at it from the back, I think some of my complaints are that his legs are a little weak in this mode. He has a bit of a hollow leg. Sorry, I didn't fold out his heels. When you fold out his heels, it's pretty hollow back there. Probably could have done something to fill that in. He does have really nice wings overall. You can kind of do them the way that they are in the game, where they're kind of full, posed upwards. Or you can have them kind of a more G1 style with them frontwards. There isn't a lot of articulation in the sense that you can't fold them flat, which would have been nice. If you could fold them flat and kind of accordion them or fold them back like that. I do wish they had better articulation in that sense. As far as the head sculpt, pretty basic, just the visor. But again, it's supposed to look like the Fall of Cybertron version of Swoop, and I think it does a really good job of doing that. The nice crest back there. And you can see there's a good amount of paint apps. You know, the black kind of panel lining here, the red paint apps throughout, a little bit of kind of the gold on the foot, more paint apps on the leg here. So I think they did a really good job. As far as articulation goes, his head is not on a ball joint, I don't believe, because you can't tilt it side to side. I think it's just on a hinge and then a swivel. His arms are on a hinge here and a hinge here, ratcheted joints there. And they're nice and tight ratchets, as you can tell, as you can hear. Bicep swivel, elbow joint, gets about 90 degrees. Wrist, no real wrist articulation. You get a little bit of up, not any down, but that's really for transformation. No wrist swivel, which always bothers me, but on a figure this size, I guess it's not bad, but he's still pretty expensive, so I wish they would have done that. I hate it when they skimp on wrist swiveling. He does have waist articulation, but his beak does sometimes get in the way. You just have to kind of like move it. You can't go all the way around because you get interference from the backpack, but it's still pretty good. His legs are on, again, double joints. Looks like there's supposed to be ratchets there, but there's actually no ratcheting action. But he gets a great range of motion. Like, look at that. He can high kick somebody in the face. The back, again, a lot of range of motion. It's just that it's blocked by the jetpack, the backpack. The upper thigh swivel, nice double jointed knees. Again, you're gonna have more issues with him actually running into stuff than actual range of motion. He has his kneecaps are the alt mode claws, which are on some hinges that go back and forth a little bit, not much, but then there's a hinge here as well. I just keep them folded up. For feet, he does have some toe articulation. Really, it's just for transformation. He can go straight down and almost all the way back. Actually, can go all the way back. And then he has a heel here, which is a weakly hidden heel, honestly. That's supposed to help him because he is pretty back heavy. I think he does need better heels, though, overall. Because even with the heels out, he doesn't like to stand forward and stand up straight. And with a figure that has such a large backpack with the wings, heavy backpack, it would have been nicer to get a little bit beefier heels, or at least some forward articulation on the foot. Like no forward articulation, that's just crappy. Alright, so that's it for articulation for most of the body, but then we also have wings here. So the wings are actually on a post, so it can swivel. Let's do it that way so it's not upside. So it can swivel a little bit this way. Not a lot, but there's no like in and out motion, which is a shame. It'd be nice if they had something like that. It can go pretty far back, and these joints can go. This second joint probably has the best range of some of the best range of motion, and then this one as well. The other way, the same thing basically, same range of motion both ways. So it does give you some display options if you want to fold them up, like so. You can do that. You can do some folding back action. See what that looks like, and that's not bad either. And then again, like I showed at the beginning, you can do, because it's on the post, you can have them kind of swing up like so. As far as his accessories, let's take a look at them. Well, actually, let's bring in Grimlock first. So I'll bring in the Hasbro Follow Cybertron Grimlock to show the size difference. And I think this is pretty good scale for these guys. Grimlock is supposed to be quite bigger than Swoop in terms of scale. Alright, and the design cues, I think they're pretty good. There's a lot more molded detail on Planet X's. Better paint apps overall, I would say, or more paint apps. The gray is a little bit darker on this guy, but overall I think they do go really well together. And Planet X is supposed to be making I think 6 dinobots, including the original 5 and then Paddles, which I think is the next one that's coming out. Alright, and Planet X did do some kind of nifty things with the design that I'll show you a little bit later that incorporate with Grimlock. Accessory wise, he does have these 2 swords, which are obviously in the same kind of design as the Fall of Cybertron Grimlock's swords. So let me bring that out. Again, similar design cues, but it's not clear plastic. It's the gray that I think is painted red. But the actual look of them is very similar. I'm trying to get this to focus. I apologize. Pretty cool. The Grimlock one is much longer, and he can just go ahead and hold this sword. It's nice and tight. So sometimes I actually have trouble getting this guy to hold them. There's 1. There's 2. And there's posts on either side of the hilt as well. And so you can plug them into these holes out here. But I usually reserve those for the missiles. So this is what the missile looks like. It can also double as a gun. There's also display options to put it underneath his arms and the holes there, if you want to do that. But again, I like to keep it as missiles on the wings. So this is Swoop kind of all weaponed up. And again, the issues with stability make this guy kind of annoying to pose. Alright, so let's go ahead. Overall, I think the robot mode is pretty strong. I do wish it had wrist articulation, but as far as overall looks, I think they did a really good job. Just design and aesthetic wise, they did a really good job on them. Sorry, it came slightly unpegged. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this guy into alt mode. So first thing you want to do to get into alt mode, it's probably just to do the easiest stuff first. So I always want to get the fist out of the way, so just open the panel on the front of the arm, fold in the fists, close them up. Alright. Now while you're already at the arms, you can fold in the shoulder pieces, shoulder covers, and rotate them down. You're going to want to rotate the arms inward because this is going to tab into the legs once they come up. Alright. Next thing you'll do is just kind of get the dino head out of the way so you can just flip it up. Backpack. There's pegs that go from the backpack into the red pieces, so just pull up on that on both sides and you'll see them come right out. And this whole backpack, jetpack, actually articulates, and so you're going to want to pull this down. That whole piece, I don't know if you saw it, but that's all the way up. In robot mode, you want to slide it down, and that'll let you get the head up straight. If you didn't do that, then the head doesn't have a lot of room to go. So go ahead and move that down, and then you can get the head looking basically straight. All right. Next up, you're going to get these chest pieces, and they were pegged in up here. You want to pull outwards on them, and they'll unpeg, and then rotate them down and collapse them downwards. And then there's another set of pegs on the inside, which is kind of hard to see. You might be able to see that really deep in there. Just peg them back in that way on both sides, and then you can peg the jetpack back in, as you did before, into those red pieces. Alright. So now we're going to go ahead and get to the lower body. The lower body, to transform, you're going to rotate the legs backwards. You're going to fold the heel up. Oh, no, actually you're not. So you're going to fold this toe piece out on the underside of the foot. It almost looks like handles. And then you're going to want to fold the toes straight and fold the heels back so that they just kind of sit inside the toes and are straight. So again, with this side, fold this straight, fold the heel up straight. And these pegs are going to go ahead and peg into these two peg holes on the chest. So you just use the double jointed knees to get it folded around and peg that in. And then you can kind of just adjust the rest of the lower body to kind of straighten everything out. It doesn't sit perfectly straight. But it's pretty close. So you'll see there's a little bit of a bump out. So it doesn't sit straight, it does sit at an angle, these pieces here. And then that tab hole here is where that tab on the arms slots in. Oh, that's what I missed. So going back out, I forgot to actually fold in. There's small panels here that you need to open up on the inside of the legs. Well, actually technically the outside, but since you flipped them around, they look like the inside now. And that will allow you to peg in closer, and then the knees collapse. The legs, the thighs go into the lower legs more closely. So I apologize for that mistransformation. Good thing I caught that. I always forget that though. And these pieces just kind of hang out. The two sides don't peg together or anything like that, so. And again, now going back to the arms that tab into the slots here. And these don't tab in particularly securely as either. They're fine, but they don't go in all that deep or anything like that. So this is what he should look like underneath. And you can mess with his feet and his small dino legs however you want. And again, the The head goes back, but you can have it come forward if you want to have him just kind of stand like so. But it's kind of hard just because he doesn't have heels in Dino mode either. So almost done. The couple things you need to do for the wings is just fold up the claws here and fold down this piece. All right. And there we have Caelus in Dino mode or alt mode. There we go. Looks pretty good, right? I think so. So from the front, the side, the back. One of the things I didn't mention is there are a couple pieces here, small pieces that are kind of like flaps and fins that are articulated as well. And then this side, and then back to the front. So as far as articulation, there's not a lot. We've already gone through the wings, so I'm not going to go through that. These claws are on a post and hinge, so that you do get a decent amount of motion there. These little flaps are on a hinge as well, on a pin, so that gives them some articulation. The feet are on, well, the legs are hinged, and then the feet, claws themselves are hinged. The head is just on a pin, but there is two pieces, the robot head and the dino head. They don't peg into place, so that's unfortunate. So if you move the dino head, you're gonna start seeing the robot face. There should be something there that pegged us together so that they're all moving one piece. That's unfortunate, but it's not terrible. It just seems a little lazy. It wouldn't be an extra piece or anything like that. It would just be just some extra molded detail. You don't get any side to side with the head, which is unfortunate. Just forward and back. All right, and the last thing I'll mention with this mode is we talked about these kind of handle looking things. They're not handles, they're actually, these things come down, the feet can come down like so, and they hook into Follow Cybertron Grimlock. Okay, so let me see if I can show this off. I'm sorry about the weird lighting. My camera keeps adjusting the ISO, and I need to mess with the settings some more in my next video to ensure that it doesn't keep doing that, because I want to get some more consistent lighting. So if you look at Follow Cybertron Grimlock's back, you see that there's two, I guess, slots back there. These guys are intended to fit right in there, and they don't fit in securely, they don't peg in securely, but oh, sorry, I didn't show that, sorry about that. So these two pieces go right into those holes, and they're a perfect width, and we go straight in. Yeah, let's zoom out some more. No, zoom out. And it kind of allows him to carry Grimlock, which I heard that happens in the game, but again, I haven't played the game, so I don't know. And it's pretty secure. Like, you can jostle him and he's fine, just can't lean him forward. So that's what that piece is for, if you were wondering when you got him. It's kind of cool that they incorporated that, but otherwise it looks out of place. Alright, as far as accessories, again, you have those slots here that you can peg the missiles into, which is kind of the standard configuration, I suppose. And then with the swords, you have the posts. I guess you can hook them up here. There's really no other storage place for weapons aside from those two. places. So as far as oh, sorry, I didn't show the articulation. His beak does open, and you see a little bit of tongue in there. But as far as Dino Mode looks, it looks really good actually. The articulation is still there with the wings, so you can get a lot of pretty dynamic poses. I do wish the head was tabbed in and allowed some range of motion. That's a little unfortunate. It doesn't look very clean though, honestly, from when you look at the bottom. It's kind of gappy here. You can see that these are arms that are just pegged in. The back is a little bit cleaner because it's just a backpack essentially. And you just see a little bit of the legs down here, the thighs. Alright, just give me 1 second and I'll transform Grimlock so you guys can see how they look together. Alright guys, sorry about that quick cut. We'll bring in Grimlock, who looks pretty good with him. They match, I think, in terms of overall scale. And the aesthetics of them look pretty good. The I guess kind of bronze is different. This kind of yellowish mustard color is different, but it's pretty close. Nothing that I would really get upset about. But yeah, so they look pretty good. They scale well together. Like I said before, Planet X is planning to make their own Grimlock, which is good because I've openly said I hate this guy. Like, I never would have bought this guy. I actually got him as part of like a lot sale before, and you can see there's the panel lining that the previous owner did, which was pretty terrible. But I just hate this figure overall. I think he's horrible. You know, look at the bottom of this guy, and the articulation is terrible. Transformations uninspired. Both modes look pretty terrible, I think, in terms of just overall. Anyway, it's not a review on this guy, so let's get rid of him. So yeah, that is Caelus in Rope Dino mode, and I'm going to go ahead and go back to transforming it into robot mode, and then we'll go ahead and finish up with final thoughts. Okay? So we can keep these missiles on if you want, whether you want to or not. Same thing with the swords, really, but I'm just going to remove them just so you can see it a little bit better. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to the wings and fold this up and fold this down. You don't really have to do that if you want to display them in robot mode as well. I'll show that a little bit later, but I guess the official transformation has them folded up. Then you can unpeg the arms. I'll just bring it out to the side. The legs, you're going to unpeg the legs, fold them down straight. While you have them this way, you can put the heel straight and then fold up the toes so they're straight, and then fold in these little hooks into the toes. And then you can rotate this all the way around to the front. Get these flaps folded straight on the outside of the legs, which I missed previously. Fold up the claws to form the knees. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and unpeg the jetpack again on both sides. I'll let them move a little bit. Pull outwards on the chest pieces. Get these unpegged. And again, rotate them upwards into the other peg holes. Then with the backpack, you'll go ahead and rotate the head up and the dino head down. From the back, just push this up. This is articulated. I didn't mention that before. The little bottom of the booster is articulated. I don't really know why. I don't know. I have no idea why. Anyway, so you can push that up, this whole backpack section up until it stops, and then you can peg in the backpack again into the red pieces. It's hard to see in there, but pretty easy to just feel your way. Alright, and then you can rotate the arms down, keep the shoulder pads up. Rotate the arms so that the forearms are in the correct position. Open up the chest not chest panels, the arm panels. Use the tabs to rotate the fist out. And then close up the panels. And then we have him back in robot mode. Pretty simple. And just to show you guys, again, these can be folded down and up if you want. Makes no real difference depending on how you like him to look aesthetically. You can keep him out. I actually prefer the claws to be out all the time. But these pieces, I could have done completely without these pieces. They're probably supposed to, again, be a copy of the game model. But for me, they really do nothing. Oh gosh, I hate his heels. It really limits how you can pose this guy with his wings. But yeah, there we go. We bring these back in just so we have them. So final thoughts on this guy. He's pretty good. So the reason why I'm doing this video so late, I usually don't do video reviews of figures that have come out in the past since I am a new reviewer. The reason I'm doing it for this one is that this guy's getting reissued. A second run is coming out from Planet X, and I think in the next couple months. And pre-orders are already up at most of the Transform retailers, so you guys can pick him up there. And I think he's retailing for about 75 to 80 bucks, depending on the retailer, plus shipping. So that's why I want to do it for those that missed the first time around and were curious about this guy. I wanted to do a review for you guys. And I actually just picked him up not too long ago before the reissue was announced, and I got a pretty good price on him. So I figured, why not do a review? But yeah, final thoughts. I like this guy. I love the molded detail. I think there's a lot. I like Planet X as a company. Even though they haven't done a ton of figures, they've planned to do a lot of fan favorites as well. Very solid overall in terms of construction, articulation. I do miss the wrist articulation. I just saying this to all third-party companies, always do wrist swivels. I mean, it can't be that much to incorporate, and it does make a big difference. It just seems pretty weak if you guys don't do that. The overall look of this guy is really great. The accessories look great. The one thing I will mention that I noticed a little bit later, upon a closer inspection of this guy before I did the review, is that the paint apps are not as crisp as I think they could be. So I'm gonna see if I can show this. I might not be able to. But the paint lines on this are not great. You can see that they're not crisp. You can see the gray peeking out a lot here and there. It's just same thing overall for that, and it's just on. I think it's just on the pink as well. Like these are a little bit better here, but there's some aspects like on the forearm where it's not as crisp as it could be. So it's not terrible. Again, I didn't notice until I was looking very closely for this review, but something to note. So final thoughts for 80 bucks. I think this figure is pretty good. I like it because the wings, anything with wings and that has a decent articulation is always a winner for me. I do hate the heels, and that, you know, when you have wings, you should know that you need to have pretty beefy heels. Some of the engineering is pretty basic. The transformation could look a little bit better. Little heels back here. The alt mode isn't great, but honestly, Swoop alt modes are never, or bird modes for transformers that are birds are usually not that great. The alt modes, they just always have to make like sacrifices for the robot mode, so I can kind of forgive that. For 80 bucks, I think he's a worthwhile figure. I just don't know if I love him at 80 bucks. if you can get them for, you know, 70 bucks, I think definitely it's worth buying, especially if you like Dinobots and if you're a fan of the game. I'm not, so maybe that's also influencing my decision or opinion about the value, overall value of this figure. But I think he comes with a lot of good stuff, good articulation, nice inclusion of 2 missiles / guns, as well as 2 swords, which is cool. So the gun doesn't work that well just because the handle would need to be a little bit longer for it to sit straight. But that's, I think, why they put in these holes on the lower part of the arm, so you can kind of have an underarm gun. But yeah, so I would say if you like Dinobots, if you like Fall of Cybertron Grimlock for some reason, I don't know why, but if you do and you want him to have company, it would be worth picking up these guys. There are a lot of Dinobot choices though, so it makes it really hard to strongly recommend any of them. But this is a good scale for classics collectors. And again, if you have Genesis, which I do, and he's one of my favorite figures, he'll go really well with him as well. So keep an eye out, guys, for the reissue. Pick him up at some of your favorite retailers if you really like him. If you like the video, please give a thumbs up and share. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and throw them down below, and I'll try to answer them as quickly as possible. And if you like what I'm doing, as always, subscribe so you guys can see what my latest videos are. And if you guys have time, head on over to my Facebook page called Pig for Life Reviews, or my new website, pigforlifereviews.com. Alright? Well, I think that's all for today, guys. I hope you guys have a good one. And when I say guys, I do mean guys and gals. I just generalized that. Somebody commented on that I say guys a lot, but I do mean everyone. So, alright everyone, have a great day.